Good morning, and welcome to the Universalist Church, in which love is the spirit. We're glad you're here today, whether you're here in the sanctuary or anywhere in the world on our live stream. I'm Joe Wilson, one of your representatives on our Board of Trustees. If you're a visitor, we hope you'll sign one of our guest books at either entrance to the sanctuary or visit our webpage, westhartforduu.org, to learn more. There, you can use the contact page to get onto our electronic mailing list, which is the best way for us to stay connected. We look forward to helping you become part of the Universalist Church. This week, we'll have fellowship through Zoom and in Fisk Hall after worship. If you need help finding your way to Fisk Hall, any member of the church will be happy to guide you. Just look for someone wearing a Universalist Church name tag, or follow the herd, or follow your nose and smell the coffee. Today, we'll have a visitor's coffee in the parlor after worship. You can come meet other folks, members of the welcome team, and our minister as you learn more about our congregation. Also today at 11:30, there will be a capital campaign visioning session in the program center. That's right behind the sanctuary. Just go backwards or come up for coffee hour. That's at 11:30 in the program center. You can find the link for Zoom fellowship in your weekly news or our Breeze calendar. If you aren't getting the weekly news, please sign up for it on our website. And now, I invite you to take a moment to make your mobile phone silent, turn off that email, put away your keyboards, and settle in for worship.
Just a quick note about this piece we're about to perform, since it requires some context. Kabhi Bihoto is a ghazal by Indian composer and singer Jagjit Singh, with lyrics by Urdu poet Javed Akhtar. A ghazal is a type of Indian classical art song derived from a strict form of Arabic poetry. The Arabic ghazal originated in the 7th century. The ghazal tradition spread throughout the Indian subcontinent in the 12th century owing to the influence of Sufi mystics and the courts of the new Islamic Sultanate. Ghazals often deal with topics of love, both romantic and divine, separation, and mysticism. Jagjit Singh's music is notable for emphasizing the meaning of the words over the music and for utilizing Western instrumentation like guitar, bass, and drums. Our performance this morning is a close transcription of Jagjit Singh's original recording from 1998.
Guzara Kabhi Suliha mafiho Koi nachare sahatu Kabiyum bituho Kabiyum bituho Kabiyum bituho Yabarasa tutke barese Tara mile kotuhala dibitarese Turnonagase Kabiyum bituho Kabiyum bituho Tanhazi Muttiho Muhandan Hamer Saho Atum Hao Kabiyum bituho Kabiyum bituho Hariha Sahiho Orishangajira Atum Hao Kabiyum bituho Kabiyum bituho Kabiyum bituho Kabiyum bituho
I am told that the Butler family is going to be helping me light the chalice this morning, except that they don't seem to be here. Yes? Say that again? Yep, well then please come on up. I would love to have you. Thank you very much. If you have a chalice at home, please light it as we light ours here in the sanctuary. So we light this chalice using one flame to create another, making this symbol of our faith dance with light and warmth, bringing it to life through the sharing of a spark. So may we find ourselves brought to life, held in our dancing by one another, and all that is larger than ourselves, all that is sacred and life-giving, known to us by a multitude of experiences, connections, and names. In this spirit, we begin our worship. Our opening hymn is number 1032 in the blue hymnal, number 1032. It's called Daoona, Nayeesh. And it's one that I don't think we've done since I got here. Please rise in body or in spirit. And before we begin, I have a little bit of something I want to tell you about this particular hymn, since it's new to us. This song comes from the inspiration of Samir Badri, a Muslim residing in the United States. He recruited the composer of the music, a Jew, named Ted Warmbrand, to set his words to a tune after they were both featured at a peace rally in Arizona just before the U.S. bombings of Afghanistan and Iraq. The English translation from the Arabic is, "Let us live in peace, let us live in inner peace, let us weave our dreams together, let us die in peace." The words are phonetically spelled out in here. I suspect some of you will have an easier time with the Arabic than others, but we will all do our best together. Let us speak together the words of our affirmation, our covenant. It's printed in the order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Please be seated.
We have so many beautiful instruments up here this morning, and I don't want to run the risk of anything happening to them. So I'm going to do my best to tell this story and show the pictures to everybody. However, if there are any children who would like to come up to maybe the first few pews, so maybe you can see just a little bit better, that might be helpful. So the story I'm going to read today is a story called Jabari Jumps. You love that book? I love this book too. And I want to ask a question to some of my friends here. Who has ever done something that was really, really hard and kind of scary, but you did it anyway? Well, I see a lot of hands. Me too. This is a story about a boy who does something that is very, very scary. And he does it. He takes the risk. I'm jumping off the diving board today, Jabari told his dad. Really? Said his dad. The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but Jabari had finished his swimming lessons and passed his swim test, and now he was ready to jump. I'm a great jumper, said Jabari. So I'm not scared at all. Jabari watched the other kids climb the long ladder. They walked all the way out to the end of the board, as big as tiny bugs. Then they stood on the edge. They spread their arms and bent their knees, and they sprang up, 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 and then they dove down, down, down. Splash! Looks easy, Jabari said. But when his dad squeezed his hand, Jabari squeezed back. Jabari stood at the bottom of the ladder. He looked up. You can go before me if you want, he told the kid behind him. I need to think about what kind of special jump I'm going to do. Jabari thought and thought. Jabari started to climb up and up. This ladder is very tall, he thought. Are you okay? Called his dad. I'm just a little tired, said Jabari. Maybe you should climb down and take a tiny rest, said his dad. A tiny rest sounded like a good idea. When he got to the bottom, Jabari remembered something. I forgot to do my stretches, he told his dad. Stretching is very important, said his dad. I think tomorrow might be a better day for jumping, Jabari said. They looked up at the diving board together. It's okay to feel a little scared, said his dad. Sometimes, if I feel a little scared, I take a deep breath and tell myself I am ready. And you know what? Sometimes it stops feeling scary and feels a little like a surprise. Jabari loved surprises. Jabari took a deep breath and felt it fill his body from the ends of his hair right down to the tips of his toes. Jabari looked up. He began to climb. Up and up and up and up until he got to the top. Jabari stood up straight. He walked all the way to the end of the board. His toes curled around the edge. Jabari looked out as far as he could see. He felt like he was ready. I love surprises, he whispered. He took a deep breath and spread his arms and bent his knees. Then he sprang up off the board, flying. Jabari hit the water with a splash. Down, down, down he went, and then back up. Whoosh! Jabari, you did it, said his dad. I did it, said Jabari. I'm a great jumper. And you know what? What? Said his dad. Surprise double backflip is next. At this time, please join me in singing our children out to their classes.
The voluntary offering, the sharing of our resources for our shared work as a religious community, is a spiritual practice for us. By offering your time, talent, and treasure to this community, you help us to serve our friends, our members, and the wider community in which we are embedded. As part of that service, we share our general offering each week with organizations that do work in the world that bring us ever closer to creating beloved community. And so we share our plate this month with Pink Haven. Pink Haven is a collective of organizations and individuals who are committed to transgender liberation and joy, and to growing community defense, mutual aid, and alternative systems of care for gender-diverse people. In response to the increasingly hostile legislative environment in the United States, with more than 550 legislative acts in the last year seeking to eradicate transgender people from public life, Pink Haven, we, are working together to create networks of safety and direct support for individuals, for trans folk and their families who need to relocate, access health care, or stay as safe as possible wherever they are. To give electronically to our offering, you can use the QR codes on your order of service, the links in the description online, or those on our website to make your donation to our offering. Here in the sanctuary, our offering will now be gratefully received. May all these gifts, so generously given, sustain the life of this community, the work that we do together, and make a difference in the world of which we are a part. Thank you. Thank you. Please rise in body or in spirit as we speak our congregational reading. It's number 658 in the gray hymnal. Number 658, I'll read the words in Roman type, and we'll respond together with the words in italics. To laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to risk appearing sentimental. To reach out for another is to risk exposing our true self. To place our ideas, our dreams, before the crowd is to risk loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To hope is to risk despair. To try is to risk failure. To live is to risk dying. Let's join in singing our doxology. It's in the order of service and the description online.
Praise God for love we all may share. Praise God for beauty everywhere. Praise God for hope of good to be. Praise God for truth that takes us free. Amen.
Please be seated. I have two things on behalf of the congregation to share with you today. If you read our passages email, these will be familiar to you. Tracy W. and Joan B. both died in this past week. Tracy's memorial service will be this Thursday at 11 a.m. at First Church, because they have a larger sanctuary and will be able to hold the larger community that we expect to come to her service. Joan's will be held here in about a month or so. Please join with me in a time of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, Spirit of growth, of resilience and discovery, Spirit which is at once divine and also part of every everyday moment. Sometimes we do not know what to do with you. We hide from the challenges and the opportunities you offer. Sometimes we grasp you so tightly we prevent your work. Sometimes we turn away from the parts of ourselves that would joyfully burst forth into change. We seek to live profoundly and also easily. We seek to create magnificence and to simply get through the day. We seek to do it all and to do nothing. At times, Spirit of life, we embrace the possibilities you present, and at times we reluctantly and with struggle take the path of growth. Sometimes we allow ourselves to pretend that we need not change. So as spring returns to us, as the days go past, may we nurture this spirit of growth and living, this spirit that enlivens ourselves and our communities, our nations, and the whole of the world. Let us send our thoughts and prayers to all of those members of our community who are in need. May they be able to ask for and receive support from all of us. Let us send our thoughts and prayers to all those who are beyond our immediate community, who are in need. May they be able to ask for and receive support from us. Let us take a moment in stillness for the prayers of our hearts. May we do more than speak of growth. May we cherish it, work with it, guide it with health and wisdom. May growth lead us into becoming the best and fullest of what we all may be, together and individually, humanity and all of creation alike. May it be so. Amen.
Our first reading is called Return and Remember by the Reverend Summer Albayati, and celebrate the name of God morning and evening. Surah Al-Insan, 76:25. Many years ago, I experienced a serious crisis of faith. I felt buried by pain and suffering, and I wasn't sure if I would ever dig my way out to see the sun rise again. This crisis of faith took me on a journey to find myself and to come to an understanding in my suffering there was a holy and sacred space. Since the Prophet Muhammad first received a revelation of the Quran in the cave of Hira, Ramadan is a celebration of this fact. I tried to embrace my crisis as an entrance to a cave that the divine had opened up for me. All I needed to do was enter, to seek refuge, and this I did. It's always a challenge to feel a sense of the holy when I go through difficulties, but it's at that exact time that I need to find more time for prayer, study, and meditation. When the holy month of Ramadan approaches, it becomes a beautiful reminder to return to myself and remember who I truly am and what the divine is calling me to become. Ramadan is a time of going deeper into a spiritual oasis, like entering a cave for a few hours while I fast from bodily nourishment. It's an invitation to pause for a whole month while I find spiritual awakening by studying the Quran more deeply and performing embodiment prayers 5 times a day. It becomes a holy retreat from the mundane, even in the midst of the ordinary. For 30 days, I fulfill my spiritual needs as if in great hunger for the divine spirit, and hopefully, I emerge from the cave transformed. This holy experience is the healing. This sacred time is an abundant act of love, and this is what I seek each year during this most blessed of months, so I can answer the call of the divine spirit. What if I were to find spiritual nourishment by entering whatever doors opened up to the divine spirit on a daily basis? What if each day I awakened and began it in theological reflection, or praising the name of the divine each morning and evening? Who would I become? Our second reading is a poem called Father's Song by Gregory Orr. Yesterday, against admonishment, my daughter, balanced on the couch back, fell and cut her mouth. Because I saw it happen, I knew she was not hurt, and yet a child's blood so red, it stops a father's heart. My daughter cried her tears. I held some ice against her lip. That was the end of it. Round and round, bow and kiss, I try to teach her caution. She tries to teach me risk.
First, I just want to say a quick thank you to our musicians and especially to the choir. The music today has been gorgeous, and choir, you have been doing amazing work in this past year, and I'm just so grateful for what you bring to us. So thank you. Sometimes people will say that the work of ministry is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. I often say that the work of ministry is to demonstrate with and for one another what it is to be thoughtfully, faithfully human. Back in seminary, so many years ago now, my professor of counseling and ethics instructed us that the point of pastoral care, of ministry, really, is to increase our sense of agency and freedom for each person and for the community as a whole. I found myself thinking about all of these things when I read this poem by Gregory Orr. Yesterday, against admonishment, my daughter balanced on the couch back, fell, and cut her mouth. Because I saw it happen, I knew she was not hurt, and yet, a child's blood so red, it stops a father's heart. My daughter cried her tears. I held some ice against her lip. That was the end of it. Round and round, bow and kiss. I try to teach her caution. She tries to teach me risk. Caution and risk, agency and freedom. The work of ministry. The work of congregational or religious or spiritual life is, at least in part, to help us know the possibility of options and then the ability to understand and choose among them. Ministry tries to remind us that if life is hard, we can seek and provide kindness. Sometimes it helps us to recognize that comfort is just a way station on the path to transformation. Sometimes ministry helps us to want something different, something better from our common existence, and to give us the strength, the courage, the vulnerability to pursue that which is better. To say it, it sounds so simple. To decide to do something better. To be willing to be uncomfortable. I wish it were as easy as it sounds. But that is so often the truth of religious life and spiritual practice. Simple ideas that are harder in practice than in concept. Speaking of which, Ramadan Mubarak, or Blessed Ramadan. I don't know if now we have any practicing Muslims in our congregation. We have had in the past. I'm sure many of you remember Islam. We held an iftar, the evening meal after the day's fast during Ramadan, multiple years with Islam's help and guidance. This year, our junior high class is doing a unit exploring Islam and will make a visit to a Muslim community later this spring. Members of our community have been invited to a meal with one of the area Muslim congregations, too. Ramadan has become another special time of year for many of us in this country, but also for many of us in this congregation, because it is a special time of year for those we know and love. If not ourselves, for family or friends, co-workers, refugee families we support. I am delighted every time we are given an opportunity to deepen our understanding and engagement with people who have different perspectives than we do. And in a moment where some people with some power are trying to make our world smaller and meaner and more limited, it is a joy and an affirmation of our way of being, our values, our covenants, to make the world bigger and more loving and more connected. And so this opportunity to pay attention to a holy time that may or may not be part of our own experience, well, it's meaningful. It is, for me, delightful. And I think it is necessary. One of the people that I know and love, for whom Ramadan is important, is my colleague in Unitarian Universalist ministry, the Reverend Summer Al-Bayati. And her writing, which you heard Lisa read earlier, takes us beyond the aspects of this observance that many of us already know. Part of Ramadan is fasting from sunrise to sunset, close attention to the Quran and to specific prayers, increased charity work to feed those who are hungry all the time and not just because of the period of Ramadan. The concept of Ramadan is not that difficult. Choose to abstain from experiences, pleasures of normal life in order to focus on what is meaningful, what is sacred. But even if it's a simple concept, the practice is not always easy. Summer's reflection makes clear the spiritual opportunity within Ramadan. The opportunity to attend to what is hard or broken or painful. The opportunity to refocus oneself upon that which matters most. The opportunity to try something different for a while, because it might just make everything better. She writes, "Many years ago, I experienced a serious crisis of faith. I felt buried by pain and suffering, and I wasn't sure if I would ever dig myself out to see the sun rise again. This crisis of faith took me on a journey to find myself and to come to an understanding. In my suffering, there was a holy and sacred place. It's always a challenge to feel a sense of the holy when I go through difficulties. But it is at that exact time when I need to find more time for prayer, study, and meditation. When the holy month of Ramadan approaches, it becomes a beautiful reminder to return to myself, to remember who I truly am and what the divine is calling me to become." Sometimes we are called to be uncomfortable with the status quo within ourselves or the whole of the world. Sometimes that comes across as a crisis of faith, sometimes a drive for justice making. Sometimes it is, as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, a maladjustment to something that is so wrong in the world as to be intolerable. I think of this as holy dissatisfaction. Not just the general grumpiness that we aren't getting what we want. Not the, I wanted pancakes this morning, but instead all I had was an English muffin. But the reality, the realization that something is not right and needs to be changed. Holy dissatisfaction says that the risk to change for the better, perhaps to make everything good at all, must overcome our caution that seeks to preserve comfort or a sense of safety, whether that safety is real or not. Holy dissatisfaction calls us to take faithful risks. to try fasting for a month and focus on spiritual matters, to speak up for change when it is uncomfortable or unpopular to do so, to connect with others and learn from them rather than hunker down, to be willing to grow, to live our values out loud among people who disagree, whether they are our family, friends, co-workers, or the wider world. Holy dissatisfaction encourages us to think about what the divine is calling me to become, and faithful risks are what it takes to become what we are called to be. I was curious, so I looked back through the electronic files of my sermons to see if I had preached on risk before. I was pretty sure I had, and in fact, I did. In 2019, here in this congregation, I said, "These are risky times." And by that I mean things we cherish and value and work for are at risk. Economic stability is at risk from growing disparity. The natural world we love and rely on is at risk from short-sightedness and greed. The openness of our society is at risk from the constrictions that come with fear and hatred and an unwillingness to see the full humanity of one another. All of these things are still true. They're not once again true. They have been true each and every day since I preached that sermon in 2019. And I suspect, given our conversations, my conversations with you, that you understand that this is still true as well. I also said this: perhaps these are risky times. There have been risky times before, and there will be risky times again. And if we don't challenge those who would make the world smaller and our humanity less rich and less varied, then our universalism isn't as universal as it should be. And all of this is still true as well. We must take faithful risks in risky times. There isn't really an option unless we just intend to allow things to go wrong and see what happens next. The need for faithful risks, that's why universalism started in the first place. Because people said, God is not hateful. God does not condemn anything to eternal torment or hell. We believe that God is a loving God and that all things are included in that love. Stepping away from common understandings of Christianity in this country back in the 1800s, the early 1800s, that was a risk. It was a faithful risk. It's also why Black Lives Matter started, and Occupy Wall Street, and the transgender days of remembrance and visibility, and Extinction Rebellion, and protests against the Vietnam War and the Iraq War and the war in Gaza. And there are our own personal risks, too. Going to seminary, for example, or changing jobs to something more meaningful, going out on a date, or deciding that you are no longer going to go out on any dates with that particular person, trying a new creative or spiritual practice, starting therapy, coming out of whatever closets we've been in, starting to meditate, journal, spend time getting to know ourselves, who we truly are, what is deepest within us. There are risks in every moment of every day. Janet Rand writes, Risks must be taken because the greatest risk in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, is nothing, and becomes nothing. She may avoid suffering and sorrow, but she cannot learn or feel or change or grow or love. Chained by his certitude, he has forfeited his freedom. Only the person who risks is truly free. Caution and risk. Agency and freedom. I suggest that whether we are Muslim or not, we learn something from this holy month. Whether we are a parent or not, we learn something from the child who is less concerned with caution than with exploration. The risk of paying deep attention and taking action, even when other things are not easy, it's worth the effort. The Reverend Al-Bayati writes, Ramadan is a time of going deeper into a spiritual oasis, like entering a cave for a few hours while I fast from bodily nourishment. It's an invitation to pause for a whole month while I find spiritual awakening by studying the Quran more deeply and performing embodiment prayers 5 times a day. It becomes a holy retreat from the mundane, even in the midst of the ordinary. And then it leads her forward. What if I were to find spiritual nourishment by entering whatever doors opened up to the divine spirit on a daily basis? What if each day I awakened and began it in theological reflection or praising the name of the divine each morning and evening? Who would I become? And that, I think, is the most wonderful risk. And it comes right on the heels of a holy dissatisfaction. I want more, I want better, I want deeper. And if that were true, who would I become? Am I willing to be that person? That attentive, grounded, connected, spiritually active person? What would that mean for my life? What choices would I have to make going forward? Who would we become? So, Ramadan Mubarak. Whether it is your practice or one that you have found new value in even just today, may this month be a time of holy reflection, perhaps some holy dissatisfaction, and, I pray, faithful risks. Let us take just a moment together in stillness to be with the risks and the dissatisfactions of our hearts. Our closing hymn is number 134 in the gray hymnal. Number 134, Our World is One World. Please rise in body or in spirit as we sing together. Let's speak together our unison benediction. It's in your order of service and in the description online. Engage with the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return to no person evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all beings. Please be seated and remain for our postlude. If there are any visitors who would like to be part of our visitors' coffee, please come forward, and I'm going to have you meet Norma toward the front of the sanctuary. In the white, she'll help you get to where you're going, and if you'd like to be part of the Capital Campaign meeting, please do go to the Program Center. Thank you.